Welcome back to my channel. Subscribe if you haven't done so and click on the notification bell so you get notified on when I post new videos. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to draft the patterns for a short with waistband, fly zipper and a patch pocket, and these are just examples of the shorts I'm trying to create. It's going to be a little high-waisted and it's going to be of this length. So I'll be making use of my basic trouser pattern, and this trouser pattern, it doesn't have any sewing allowance. I didn't add any sewing allowance to the trouser pattern, and as you can see it has darts. This is my front and this is my back. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to draw my back pattern, and what I just did here is just to duplicate my front pattern including the darts. I just placed my basic trouser pattern over a new pattern paper and just traced all around it, stopping at the desired length that I want. So the length of this short is 18 inches, and I added 2 inches extra at the hem there for turning it in, and the result just 2 inches hemming allowance was what I put down there. And take note that no sewing allowance was added all around, only at the hem. So the first thing we're going to do is to plan the waistband, but don't also forget that we're going to be doing a fly pocket and a fly zipper, sorry, and a patch pocket. But for now we're just going to focus on doing the waistband now. So the length or the width of the waistband is going to be 1.5 inches, and this waistband is going to be within this trouser pattern because this my basic trouser pattern is high up on my waist. So I'm going to be joining this waistband in within this trouser pattern, and I'm just folding in the darts because your waistband shouldn't have any darts in it. So I'm just folding in the darts here, and I'm just going to tape them down. I'm going to tape it down before I join the waistband effect. So I'm just going to get a fresh pattern paper, and I'm just going to lay it down on top of this initial pattern paper and just trace around the waistband. So that's what I'm going to do, but before I do that, we're going to draw in the shape of the waistband. So like I said before, the height or the depth of this waistband is 1.5 inches, so that's just what I'm marking there. So from the initial waistband up there, from the initial waistline up there, I'm just marking 1.5 inches down below. Now I got my French curve and I'm just connecting all the points that I marked there. We are curves following the markings that I already did there. You can use your pattern master, your hip curve, anyone that works best for you to create this. So as you can see, this is the waistband that we've been trying to draw in. Now like I said before, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get fresh pattern paper and just lay it on top of this and just trace around that. Now I can actually, this pattern is actually visible on the netted. So, and this is just an A4 paper, and I can actually see what's on the netted from up here. So I just traced all around it just to create that waistband effect, because this waistband is going to be different from the basic trouser pattern. So that's just what I did there. I placed fresh pattern paper, then just traced it there. Now I'm just going to use my French curve and just connect all these points that I traced out. I'll use my French curve and I'll use my ruler wherever necessary. And we're also going to add 1/2 inch sewing allowance all around this waistband. So I just went in here to indicate that this part is my center front and this other part is my side, so I don't get confused when I'm cutting this on my fabric or when I'm sewing it up. So this is the waistband, we are done with it. Now remember that we're going to draw in a fly extension for our trouser pattern, and our waistband too is going to have the extension so that it overlaps smoothly and neatly around our waist. So from the center front line of that my waistband, I just marked 1.5 inches towards that side, and I used my long ruler to connect those points. This extension we did here is just put here to in order to accommodate the fly extension that we are going to draw in our basic trouser pattern later on. So this is it, we're done with drawing it in. And the remember that this extension is 1.5 inches and it's going to be the same extension as the front side. So I'm going to work on the fly zipper, on the fly effect here on the basic trouser pattern. And what I did, I marked 1.5 inches from the center front of this trouser pattern, just the same way that we did for our waistband. I'm marking 1.5 inches, and I'm going to stop marking this just above my hip line. Then I'm going to use my long ruler and just connect all these points together. So you can see I stopped a little bit above my hip line. Then from my hip line there, I'm going to mark 0.5 inches below, and then I'm going to use my French curve and just connect the that line that we drew initially towards that 0.5 inch mark there below the hip line, and just connect it smoothly into this into this curve that we have there. I connected it smoothly, as you can see. So I just went in here to place the waistband on the basic trouser pattern. So you see the way it was. As you can see, that extension and the waistband accommodates this fly zipper extension that we have here on a basic trouser. So it's actually good, we're on the right track. So the next thing we are going to focus on now is doing the patch pocket. And this patch pocket is not going to be done within the trouser pattern. It's not going to be inside the trouser or something. It's going to be outside it, just a patch pocket that is so on the trouser. So I'm from my side seam there, or from my side line, I marked 3 inches from the side there, and the height of my pocket is going to be 8 inches, which is 0.5 inch below my waistline. But this patch pocket, the full height is 8 inches. So I'm just going to mark 8 inches there, and then take my long ruler and draw in a straight line. So that is the depth, that is the length of my patch pocket. So from this mark that we made over here, that 3 inch mark, we're going to mark 4 inches below from that mark there, and just going to extend this mark towards the side seam. We're not going to make use of this side seam, we're making use of this mark that we already have up there, not our side seam. So then I'm then going to connect the 2 points together, and this line here becomes the opening for the patch pocket. Now from the center of my dot line there, I'm just going to draw in a straight line down to that depth of the patch pocket. And as you can see, it's actually coming to shape. This is a patch pocket, your hand goes in through that way. Now we're just going to draw in our new dot. The height of my dart is going to be 4.5 inches for the front. So I just went in here, and from the new waistline that we have up here, I'm going to mark 4.5 inches below the new waistline, not the initial waistline that we have there. And I'm just going to draw in that dart that I have. My dart is 1 inch, which is 0.5 inch from both sides. Then I'm just going to connect it all the way down to that height. So this is my dart, as you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to trace out this my patch pocket. So I brought in a new pattern paper, and I just placed it on top of the patch pocket area, and I'm just tracing it because it's actually very visible. So I'm just tracing what I can see. So I'm just marking in the points that are visible. That's the points that I marked on the pattern that is underneath it, because this A4 you can actually see those markings that I did underneath it. So I'm just tracing all around the patch pocket, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to take my long ruler and I'm going to outline all those parts that I traced. So I just wanted to just write patch pocket there so you know the pockets that I'm talking about. So I'm just outlining all these dashes that I created, that I traced out, and this part here is supposed to be curved, so I just use my hand to curve it to connect the points. Also use my long ruler and just drawing this line up here. I'm just connecting all the points I basically traced off the big pattern paper. That's the basic trouser pattern that we're working with. I just traced all around it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add half an inch sewing allowance all the way around this patch pocket, because no sewing allowance was added in our initial basic trouser pattern that we're tracing out from. And the way this patch pocket goes is that we're going to need two pairs for this, and you know a pair is made up of two, so we'll end up having four pockets here, because um we're going to use the same fabric to line this thing. That's why we need two pairs. But don't worry, when I'm cutting it and when I'm sewing it, you get to understand. So this is my waistband for the front. We're going to need two pairs too for the waistband, and I just went in here to write two pairs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my sewing allowance all the way around this my trouser pattern, and I used half an inch sewing allowance. I'm adding half an inch sewing allowance at the waistline. Remember that we're taking the sewing allowance from this new waistline here, and I'm just going to connect all the points together. I'm basically just adding half an inch sewing allowance all the way around, but we're not going to add any allowance at this fly zipper area. That's the lower side of the fly zipper, or this vertical area of the fly zipper. We're just going to add it along the waistline alone. I'm adding half an inch by the side of the trouser here and just connecting the points. You can use your pattern master or your hip curve or your French curve to connect these points. So I'm just going in here just to basically add my sewing allowance. And remember that we already added 2 inches hemming allowance at this trouser part. So I'm at the inner leg here, I'm just adding my half an inch sewing allowance all the way around. Now I'm going to add half an inch sewing allowance from underneath this fly zipper back to the inner leg. So this is how the allowance is going to be. We didn't add at the vertical side of the fly zipper. Now this is just me cutting the patterns, because we are done with the drafting. We're done with making the fly zipper, we're done with making the waistband, we're done with making the patch pocket. So it's very simple. It's a simple process. Now I'm just cutting all around it, cutting the waistline. As you can see, we have a new waistline. So this is my trouser pattern all done. Now I'm going to keep this aside and we're going to work on the patch pockets and waistband. When I mean work, I mean we're just going to add our sewing allowance all the way around, then we're just going to cut it. Same with the patch pockets, we'll add our sewing allowance all the way around, then we're just going to cut it. Now we're going to work on the back pattern. When we're doing with that, what we're basically doing, we're just going to add our waistband to the back. So that's what we're going to be doing with the back. Now as you can see, I'm done with the patch pockets and the waistband for the front. I went in here to indicate that this is my patch pocket, and as you can see, the sewing allowances have been added. For this trouser pattern, you're going to cut two for it, one for the left hand side, one for the right hand side. Now my waistband, I just went in here to get sellotape just to fold it in, and then I'm just going to place the waistband on it so that you understand the way that this waistband works. I went in there to fold my darts, sorry, just folding it, pretending that we've already sewed it or something. Yes, now I'm just going to place my waistband over it, over the sewing allowance there, because you won't get to see the sewing allowance when we finish sewing it. So I'm just going to adjust it well so that it fits. As you can see, it fits so well. The fly extension is there to accommodate the extension in the trouser pattern too. So this is it, all laid and flat. As you can see, it connects so well with my basic trouser pattern. So this is just basically it. Now I'm just going to keep this aside and I'm just going to work on my back trouser pattern. So what I basically did for the back is just to trace this pattern from my basic trouser pattern, and just um make the length the same with the one for the front, 18 inches plus 2 inches hemming allowance, just same as the front. I traced out my back pattern, added my hem allowance, and this is it. Now remember that I said what the only thing we're going to do at the back is just to add the waistband. So the same way we did for the front, I'm just pinning my darts, or we use the sellotape, and I'm just going to hold the darts down, adjusting it. Then I'm just going to get a fresh pattern paper and just trace the waistband. But before that, I'm also going to draw the waistband effect here, and it's going to be the same with the front, 1.5 inches, because we can't have a waistband for the front having a different depth than the back. So it's going to be the same height or depth with the front. I went in here to draw 1.5 inches, following the initial waistline that we already have. So this is it. Now I'm going to take and just connect all those points. Now this is going to be the waistband for the back. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is get a fresh pattern paper, and I'm just going to place it on top of this pattern that we already have and trace out the waistband effect. Then I'll add my sewing allowances all the way around, and that's just it. This is the easiest way that I draft my waistbands. So this is it. I'm done with tracing it out. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is to outline all these points. Now I'm going to use my French curve, and I'm going to be connecting all those points with a smooth curve, adjusting the French curve to fit in any curve that I want to draw, and also use my long ruler to draw in the edges of the waistband. So this is it. We are done with drafting the waistband for the back. Now I just went in here to indicate that this is my waistband for the back, and this is my center back, and this other side is my dart. Then we're going to add our sewing allowance all the way around, and we are going to cut this pattern, and we're going to cut the waistband. Now before we cut this trouser pattern, we are going to draw in the allowance. That's I'm marking 1/2 inch allowance all the way around this pattern. I'm drawing it from that our new waistline, not the former one that we had. So I'm just connecting all these points together, marking 1/2 inch sewing allowance all the way around. I'm going to use my French curve where necessary, and use my ruler too wherever necessary, and I'm just going to draw in the curve. I added my sewing allowance here at this inner leg area and just connected the points. Remember that I already added 2 inches at the hem there. I'm adding 1/2 inch by the side here, and I'm just going to connect the points. So this is it. We're done with adding the sewing allowance all the way around. Now I'm going to extend the dart. Now the length of the dart for my back is 5 inches, so I just went in here to draw the length, mark 1/2 inch from both sides at the top side, just using my initial dart as a reference, and just draw in the new dart. Now I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out the patterns. As you can see, I already added half an inch sewing allowance all the way around on my waistband here. Now I'm just cutting it, and I'm going to do the same for my basic trouser pattern. Now before I do that, I just went in here to check if this my waistband works well with this trouser pattern, and as you can see, it sits so well, it's looking nice. I just folded in my dart to just check it, so it's looking good. So I just removed the sellotape and I'm just cutting this my back trouser pattern. So I'm just going to cut on the new sewing allowance of the waistline. As you can see, now we are done with pattern drafting. As you can see, this is my back pattern. I just went in here to indicate that this is my back, and we're going to be cutting two of it, one for the left hand side, one for the right. Now I'm going to get my front pattern, my patch pockets, and all my waistbands, just laying them down flat here so that you get to see all the patterns that I was able to draft here. So this is my front, this is my back, this is my patch pocket. As you can see, we'll need two pairs of that patch pocket. Now this is my waistband for the back. I just dropped it here with the back, and this is my waistband for the front. It has the fly extension on it also. So these are all the patterns. So my next video is going to be the sewing video. You get to watch the way that I sewed this patch pocket, the waistband, and everything. So please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you get notified on when I post new videos. And till then, please stay safe.